time in the industry when craft brewery sales are under competitive pressure with more people in the industry. How are you ensuring that Firestone Walker remains a top player, and as you said, goes against the big ones now?
You know, when we started, there were 350 breweries in America. Nobody had any idea what was going on with craft beer. There's now 7,000. There's 2 opening every day. There's another 2,000 in planning. There's going to be 20,000 craft brewers. I mean, I truly believe it. And so part of you says, oh, everybody showed up at our party. What happened? And they're so much sexier than we are, and just because they're new. And so part of you sort of says that's really a threat. Another part of me says, well, hang on a second, they're just telling our story. And frankly, I can draw a nexus between our growth and the proliferation of craft brewers. I can't figure out why it works, because it shouldn't, but it does. And I think there's an arc there, and I think we're still on the growth curve. And I think the more people out there who are talking about beer, talking about craft beer, talking about locally made beer, talking about beer that beer that's got a little bit more structure to it than a giant industrial brewer, the more it helps us. So from that standpoint, I think it's both a good thing and a bad thing. In terms of the future, I take a lot of solace, and obviously it's because we sat in the bleachers of the wine business. I take a lot of solace from the American wine movement, which was obviously an extraordinary thing. It happened in the 70s. In 1972, I hear the number, I wasn't here, but the number one selling wine in America was Ripple. And you'd struggle to find that now. And you can get 600 wines in the Bethmo in this mall next to it. So that revolution was phenomenal. And the American wine industry is still one of the healthiest industries in the world. So my sense is if the beer business heads in that direction, it'll be good. And in order to head in that direction, you need a mob. I like to say, you start a revolution, you're stuck with a mob. So, you can't have the revolution without a mob. So that's what we got. We got a bunch of people out there charging at consumers, telling their stories, pointing fingers, food fights. But that's the nature of a growing sort of industry, which is what we got.
Did you have to quickly change production to keep up with the demand?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we went from making a craft beer to making beer. And it changed. You ask some of the winemakers here how much Cabernet, how much Pinot Noir they sell versus Rosé. It's just different. And so we sort of, life changed for us rapidly at that point. And it's a little bit like, the proverb of the Chinese emperor and the grain on the chessboard. We kept doubling, And all of a sudden we went from, we didn't double, but we grew at a compound rate of about 35% for 5 years. And actually, you talk about the toughest points. That was the toughest point for Adam and I, is building our brewery to try and keep up with our customers over a period of 5 years. And it was extraordinarily difficult. Because, breweries aren't software factories. You have to, beer is voluminous. And you have to create it, and you have to ferment it, and you have to do it properly. And so we had to build out the brewery to keep up with it. And that was an extraordinary journey for us.